This is episode 79 of Pinnacle FC, and we're feeling fine because we're coming in smoking hot. At least one of us is, and respectability, well, that's what I'm shooting for right now. Jake Osgathorpe, Gareth Wheeler with you. Jake is coming off a clean sweep with our picks and plays last week. Over 5 units of profit. Myself, I was over 2 units of profit as well. So a good week all around. Jake had the added bonus of being on the Seahawks for the Super Bowl. So it was a really good weekend all around. Did you have more pep in your step this week, Jake?
Yeah, for the most part. And then I saw it's the FA Cup, and there's not many games that I like in the FA Cup this week.
Yeah.
The third round treated us very nicely, but the fourth round slate is just not appealing at all. I know we're probably going to start there, aren't we? But yeah, didn't really like any of the matchups. Some of the favourites, Arsenal, Man City, are ridiculously short prices at home. No win to nil price anywhere in range either against lower league opponents. So yeah, quite a difficult FA Cup. I'm going to be doing a lot of my betting in Europe this week.
Right. I will as well. We love the FA Cup, but it's about the number. And if the number isn't there, then we're just going to stay away. All the markets that we use are courtesy of Pinnacle. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. Make sure that you become part of one of us, get involved with the subreddit page, Pinnacle Sportsbook, and make sure you join the chat on social media, whether it's on X, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, please like, all that help. We love your comments, even when the chirps come our way as well as we continue to build this podcast out. I don't want to rant about Drake May or anyone else. My biggest loss on the weekend is I was supposed to go to Las Vegas for basically my buddy's baby stag. There was 25 guys, like a massive party weekend. And I went to fly out on Saturday night, and after my flight was delayed 2.5 hours, and when I got to the airport, U.S. Customs decided to close early, and I couldn't get on my flight. And I was stuck at home playing dad instead of going to Vegas and playing whatever happened on The Hangover. So thank you very much. I'm much more with it today. The extended hangover is not there, but the bitterness absolutely lingers. Just had to get that off my chest, and now we can dive in. You probably don't have to deal with these things, Jake, but U.S.-Canadian relations right now. Wow. Hey, look, I'm nonpartisan. I just want everyone to get along. FA Cup weekend. Let's start there. There are a couple of matches that maybe jump off the page. Nothing I'm absolutely in love with as we head into Valentine's Day weekend as well. Just a reminder for all you gentlemen out there, it is Valentine's Day. Anything that catches your eye in terms of the FA Cup slate?
I had two bets down. The first one's on Friday, Hull versus Chelsea. Not taking the upset, just going to take the goals instead because I think it could be quite a high-scoring game, this one. Over 3 is where the line's set at -113. That looks lovely for me. And yeah, I just think this is going to be quite a one-sided game for Chelsea because Hull, they're one of the teams that are performing really well in the Championship, but their underlying data is absolutely horrific. I think they're 4th or 5th in the Championship at the moment, but they are the 4th worst team on expected points. 4th worst, just reiterate that, just in case you didn't hear. And only Sheffield Wednesday have conceded more expected goals than Hull City, and Sheffield Wednesday are rock bottom on -7 or -6. I lose track now, even though I'm a Wednesday fan. It's becoming one of those horribly long seasons, just want it to finish. But yeah, Hull are not a very good team, and ultimately they've got bigger fish to fry. They are in the playoff hunt, and it's just they probably would love an upset, but at the same time, I don't think they'd be too miffed about getting knocked out of this competition and leave their sole focus on the Championship. But I just think it's going to be quite high scoring. I mean, Liam Rossini's games, he's been in charge of 10 matches, averaged 3.7 goals per game, and that includes 2 1-0s in there. So you can kind of gauge that the games around those 2 1-0s have been ridiculously high scoring, 2-2s and 3-2s. So yeah, I won't be at all surprised to see a high scoring game at Hull on Friday.
Yeah, it was a cracking match. Chelsea leads midweek. I should remind people we're recording this podcast Wednesday before the Premier League fixtures are played on Wednesday and Thursday, just for a little context of where we sit right now. Anything else other than Hull Chelsea?
Yeah, just Southampton versus Leicester. Anybody who didn't see on Tuesday night, Southampton played Leicester in the league at Leicester at the King Power, and Leicester went 3-0 up and then lost 4-3 with a 93rd, 94th minute winner from Southampton. Um,
Canadian Kyle Larin scored in that match on the
yeah,
weekend. Newcomer.
another kick in the teeth for Leicester, who've had a really bad week. Not only are they losing a lot of football matches, but they were deducted 6 points as well to put them right in the relegation mire. And yeah, they're just not very good. They've not been very good all season. The data's painted them as a bottom 8 side all campaign, despite the fact that they've got loads of quality individual players there. So yeah, I think it's just going to be another hammer blow that in midweek at home as well, 3-0 up. Leicester fans thinking that they've got 3 points secured, and then another defeat. And yeah, we're getting the same game here again, but at Southampton. And I'm surprised that Saints are only -120 to win, and I think that's a bettable number. That game, I know it's only isolation, but 3-0 up from 3 low probability chances. They didn't create anything of note in the first half. Expected goals tally of 0.4, but they were 3-0 up. They were completely overrun all night. Southampton created by far the better chances. And I think that ultimately you've got a team in Southampton who are mid-table in the Championship who can afford a cup run because they're not going to be going up, they're not going to be going down. And Leicester are the opposite. They're really looking over the shoulder, looking to avoid another relegation. So I think it could be one of those where motivation is in the camp of Southampton, positive feeling, positive vibes, and just the fact that they're a better team. So quite happy to pull the trigger on a Southampton win at -120.
Okay. Swerve for me, but I understand that rationale. Let's continue on. If you have any more picks in place, is that it?
No, that's me done. Yeah, I didn't like didn't like anything else really. I didn't like any dogs. I usually like a few dogs in the FA Cup. I mean, the one I was closest to putting up just like a really, really, really small bet on Salford to beat Manchester City because I just think the price is ginormous. And there is some rationale. I'm not just going, oh, there's a big price. Let's back that. But these two played in the third round last season, and Salford went off at +2,500. They're now close to +5,000. But Salford last season were a bottom half League Two team according to the underlying data. This season they're a top 6 League Two team according to the data. And I don't think I think Manchester City are probably at a similar level to what they were last season, around the same time at January. So I don't think there should be such a big price about Salford. I'm not saying they're going to go there and win. I just think that the price is a little bit too big, and it may shorten come kick-off. And then they're probably going to lose 6 or 7-0 again. But, it's just more of a price thing. I just thought I'd point it out because there was a big
this is where the depth of City's attacking talent, like it's like shooting practice. It's like a training session where everyone gets their stats, everyone gets their goals. I looked at this game as well. I saw that big number. I was looking at I was trying to find some way to get on board. What did City beat? Was it Exeter like 8-1 last time out?
10.
I think that 10-1. It's just I think that memory kind of lingers, and that's why the numbers where it's at right now. It's probably you're right. It's probably a little bit too high, but I'm not going to that dance. I just that's not a partner I want to be rolling with over the course of this weekend. So
just before we move on from this game, the other interesting point, Exeter were, I know they're in the league above Salford, but they were about +1,800, +1,900 to win at the Etihad. And they had a really, really good chance to take the lead after 5 minutes, conceded 10 goals from 2.3 expected goals. So they ran into City on a really, really hot finishing day for them to rack up 10. Obviously, if they rack up 2.3 expected goals against Salford, they're probably going to win the game again. But it's not like last season when they played Salford and they racked up 6 expected goals and scored 8. So if they put in a similar performance, you never know. They might not be as profligate in front of goal. And yeah, like I say, I'm not saying Salford are going to go there and win because that would be a mammoth upset. But we did just see Macclesfield, who are in the National League.
Here we go.
South or North, I forget, but beat Crystal Palace. So you just never know.
Yeah, you never know. I think it's worth trying to roll with Wrexham to qualify at plus 156. They got past Nottingham Forest and Pens. Now they take on Ipswich, who have been on a little bit of a wobble. They've dropped down to third place in the league championship. I just think the context of Wrexham have shown well in this competition on a regular basis. They just did it in the last round. I'd avoid the outright because they've shown that they're very good when it comes to penalties as well. And I just wonder, like, both teams are pushing for promotion. Both teams are pushing for the playoffs at the very least. But I think that a game at home for Wrexham with the magnitude of this in this competition, I think this would just go down as a big win. And I think that at plus 156 to qualify, that's a little bit more than I thought. I thought it would maybe come off in the plus 120 range, Jake, but plus 156, that's a bettable number for me. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would also always lean towards Wrexham if they're playing at home. They're a very, very strong home team. Ipswich
I think the numbers like that. Sorry, I think the numbers like that. They just lost 2-0 to Millwall, but like at home. But I just won't base anything upon one result, especially the most recent result when both teams have kind of been on the same trajectory over the last 2 months. So yeah.
Yeah,
Wrexham actually being a little bit better. So that was one that jumped off the page. A couple Premier League teams away from home are worth monitoring. I don't think that it's an awful number. Sunderland at minus 134 to win away in 90 minutes. I'm a little bit more reluctant. Fulham minus 131 away from home. Just both of them are just a little bit out of range for me. I think that they're two sides that doing well in this tournament would go a long way for both these clubs. They're both going to be in the mushy middle. Both have had really good seasons, and I both think that something have really brought something to the table in the Premier League. And I think that a club run or a cup run could be in the cards. I think that both managers, not only being very good, but will push to do well in this competition, especially with a week off in between. So yeah, Sunderland and Fulham would be the two Premier League sides. The numbers just aren't quite where I want them to really truly back them with any kind of official place. That's it for me in the FA Cup. Anything else, or shall we just move forward to La Liga this weekend? He's nodding. La Liga. Here we go to Spain, where last weekend the Wheeler Special came through. Thank you very much, Barcelona. Both teams to score no over 2.5 against Mallorca. What's catching your eye this weekend in La Liga?
Yeah, let's stick with Barca because I think there's more value to be had in backing them. This time, I backed them to win to 0 last week, but this time I'm going to flip reverse and back them to win and both teams to score at plus 141, which I think has to be an automatic play when they play away from home, just because the sheer number of goals that they've conceded and the expected goals they've conceded on the road is just monumental. Yeah, they according to expected goals, only 4 teams in La Liga have conceded more XG than Barcelona, and they're averaging nearly 1.9 expected goals against per game. Now, I know Girona aren't exactly the most attack-minded team; they don't create loads and loads of chances, but they have goals in them, and Barcelona do basically give you goals. And the I guess. I know this is a Monday game, isn't it? But Barca do play on a Thursday. They've got a big Copa del Rey game against Atlético Madrid. So they maybe prioritise that game, rest a few for this one. You just don't know. Either way, I think Girona are going to create enough to get at least one goal. And Barcelona's attack is good for 2 or 3 goals every single game. The last away game against Elche, they racked up 7 expected goals. Somehow only managed to score 3, but also conceded 1 to Elche and around 1.6 XG. So I think this is just a no-brainer, really. And he's obviously opponent dependent, but when they're playing at home, they've got such a good record of conceding literally nothing that win to 0 might be the way forward at the Camp Nou, but win both and score away from home. And plus 141 looks a big number.
Exact same play for me. Just for context, specific numbers courtesy of Understat. At home, Barcelona have conceded 5 goals, and they have the best expected goals against in La Liga. Less than 10 expected goals against. Away from home, they're the 5th worst. Like their expected goals against is 22.46. It's just about 13 goals more, expected goals against more away from home, and they've conceded exactly that number. They've conceded 18 goals away to 5 at home. So that's the bet. That's the play. Exact same thing. Also, for reference, earlier this season, Barcelona beat Girona 2-1 at home earlier this season. So they were one of the teams that did score against Barcelona. It's an
It
auto
is a
bet.
bit of a derby as well, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I like that play. The exact same one. Anything else in La Liga?
yeah, I've got three other ones that I like in the league. The first one is a Friday game, Elche versus Osasuna. I think Elche have been underestimated in the market. They've had a bit of a rough run recently, but the results have come against good teams. So, like I said, Barcelona went to Elche, won 7.1 XG. That's by far their worst defensive performance of the season. It's probably the worst defensive performance of any team across Europe all season based on the underlying metrics. And Villarreal went to Elche and won, but they're the only two teams all season that have actually beaten Elche on their own patch. So they've won 5, drawn 5 of the other 10, including against Real Madrid and Atletico. They create plenty of chances at home, which is what caught my eye as well. 1.7 expected goals for per game, which is a very, very strong record. And yeah, Osasuna, they're not very good away home. Now they've won away from home. They've won their last 2, but they've scored 8 times in their 12 away games and lost 8 of those. The underlying process is really poor. The win at Celta was a smash and grab. They were second best according to expected goals. And I just thought they got the wrong favourite here on the market, with Osasuna the favourites at plus 173, Elche at plus 191, which means we can back Elche draw no bet at plus 102, which is a bet that's only lost in 2 of their 12 home matches. So, this was a pretty straightforward one for me. I think the wrong favourite for Friday.
Brilliant. What else in La Liga?
Rayo on the handicap against Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid have gone to pieces at the moment. Not sure what's happening there.
Rayo's been a little bit unpredictable in their own right, but go ahead, continue.
They have been unpredictable, but not at home. They've been very predictable at home that they don't lose. They've lost just 2 of 14 home games in all competitions this season. And that includes League, Copa del Rey, Conference League. This is a Madrid derby as well, which I think always plays into low scoring, cagey, which ultimately brings the underdog into play even more. And yet, at Vallecas at home, that they've been really, really good with their process. 1.6 expected goals for, 1.1 expected goals against. That's a really strong process, and it shows that generally they outcreate their opponents. And they've already held Barca and Real Madrid at home this season. And then you factor in Atletico Madrid away from home are miserable. 3 wins in 11 away from home, 12 goals scored in 11 away games for Atletico Madrid is really, really poor. And they've got a negative XG process, which again means that they get outcreated by their opponents on a regular basis. And then you factor in that they've got a Copa semi-final against Barca on Thursday. They can't win the title. So, are they going to be prioritising that? Probably. I just don't want to be backing Atletico Madrid away from home. We're getting half a goal start with Rayo. So a win for Rayo or a draw, which is, again, this bet's only lost twice in 14 at home for Rayo, at minus 102. Seems like a great bet for me.
Which is a good time to remind our viewers and listeners that Champions League playoffs, the head-to-head games, go down next week, and we'll be having a podcast that we're going to record on Friday, nice and early for you, looking ahead to next week as well. So there are a number of games and a number of teams that I was considering playing this week, and I kind of hesitated and swerved to a certain degree. And this was one of them. Just when I looked at it, if I was picking a side, I would be on your side with Rayo here, but certainly something that is worthwhile taking into consideration.
I think, I completely forgot about that. It's a great point, because that basically means this Rayo game is the meat in an important sandwich for Atletico. Copa del Rey semi and Champions League qualifier. So I know it's a derby, so they'll not just let this one go, but their other 2 games have to take priority, which means that Rayo have got a great opportunity to get something.
Yep. Anything else?
Yeah, I like Real Madrid to win and both teams to score against Real Sociedad.
This is one of them that I couldn't get there with Real Madrid, because they do play in the Champions League next week. And Vinny Jr. is out through suspension, and Bellingham is out hurt, and Rodrigo is out hurt. And Sociedad has been a decent enough away side. They've been on a really good run over the last 6 weeks. I have a strong lean to Sociedad on the handicap, a goal and a half in this one. But I'll let you take the floor. It was a good jumping off point based upon the fact that Real Madrid are playing in the Champions League next week, based on what happened on the final match day.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I think they have that tricky game against Benfica, but they have had a free week in the lead up to this match, whereas Sociedad are playing in the Basque Derby in the Copa del Rey semi-final, which again, like they could, they could still qualify for Europe through the league route, but not only is it a Basque Derby, but it's a Copa del Rey semi-final, so they're going to be eggs in basket of this game. They're on a good run. Obviously, like you said, they play that game today. 10 games unbeaten heading into that Copa semi-final. They have conceded in all 10, so they do have some serious fragility at the back. And Real Madrid, they're only blemish on the copybook, really. I know Arbeloa lost in the Copa del Rey in his first game, but the only other blemish was the defeat to Benfica in the Champions League. But since then, they've won 5 of 6, the only defeat there. 7 straight wins in the league. Their underlying data all season in the league has been very, very strong, especially at home. They've really dominated. 10 wins from 11, creating an abundance of chances. I think this is just going to be a case of them just outscoring Real Sociedad, who have shown more attacking quality since their managerial change. And now that they're upwardly mobile, I do think they'll go to the Bernabeu and score, but they're not very watertight themselves. So I just thought it was a big number, plus 176 for a Real win and both teams to score. I'm more than happy to take the plunge on that one, given the way in which Real Madrid are going about things. They've still got defensive absences as well. Sociedad have absences that they're going to be missing some big players. So, this one for me, it just jumped off the board as a potential, a good spot.
Real Madrid has been brilliant at home. Real Sociedad haven't lost since December 12th. They're just on a really, really good, and that's both in league and cup competition. So opposing views on that one. It's not going to make my board officially anyways, Jake, but it was something worth delving into. Okay, what else do you have in La Liga?
That's it. I had 4 in La Liga. We've gone through them all, so the floor is yours.
I just closed my picks accidentally here, but I remember what I have. I have a lean towards Athletic Club as they take on, I believe it's Real
Oviedo
at home. Again, not a firm play for me, but at plus 123. They've been playing a little bit better. I like the injury list. They've had to dig deep into their depth, but they're playing against a team that before 3 weeks ago had scored 1 home goal the entire season. So what they've done over the last couple of weeks, pulling out 1 goal victories just is not going to change the way I feel about them. And Villarreal, a little bit of an injury issue. A lot of players are out, but at plus 138 against Getafe, I think that I'll end up having a nibble on that, but no official play. Let's move to Serie A. What are you seeing in Serie A this weekend?
There are some good games in Serie A this weekend, but those good games don't make my board, unfortunately. You got Inter Juventus, and I was very close to going with Inter. They're about even money to beat Juventus.
Both of them play in the Champions League this week too. Why?
Yeah.
I was looking at the total 2.5 because again, both these teams have been scoring goals for fun in recent weeks. Like I keep on saying this about Inter. They're no longer that defensive juggernaut. Now they're a team that it's much more wide open to a certain degree, and there's goals in their games. So no play for me in that game. But if there's something that stands out to you, go ahead. The floor is yours.
No, I definitely would be leaning towards the goals as well at even money. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in the league. Inter scored 57 in 24, Juventus second on 41 in 24. So Inter have scored 16 more than everyone else in the league, which is quite something. I was leaning towards an Inter wing. Initially, you look, like the best team in Italy, even money at home. But they've gone off around even money or just below it 4 times this season at home. One was against Liverpool in the Champions League, they lost. One was against Napoli, they drew, and I think Milan, and they lost that one as well. So I initially I was like, yep, Inter, even money, lock that in. But then they don't have a very good record when they're around this price against fellow good teams in Italy. And ultimately, they're 8 points clear with a game in hand. They don't need to win. I know they want to keep the foot down, but I definitely would lean with you the total there.
Yeah.
The other good game is Napoli Roma, which is a good game. Potential Champions ramifications on that. Me neither. I be leaning towards the over at 2. Napoli's games have been quite high scoring lately, but instead I'm just going to go back to the Genoa train.
Yeah,
the gift that keep on giving.
I think this is going to be a 2-unit play for me.
You got it.
And I typically don't go that big on this podcast. I mean, they're at Cremonese. The total is set at 2 at -107 if you want to back the over on Pinnacle. To me, it's just a no-brainer, Jake. I mean, Genoa have scored 3 goals in 4 of their last 5 games. Is that like you've spoken about this at length? I'll give the floor to you to explain what's happened after the managerial change. But this is a team that's been providing the goals on a regular basis since then. I mean, last time out, it was 3-2 against Napoli of all sides, and the total set at 2 here. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain why it's a good bet. I can't explain why the line's set at 2. Scratching my head at it as well. Basically, just copied and pasted my notes from last week and then just added one more on. 16 games since the managerial change, and they've averaged 3.3 goals. So, yeah, to see a line at 2 is. I mean, I thought that after about 8 games of this run, we would see the line start to creep up to 2.25, 2.5. If you'd have backed this blindly in Genoa games, you'd have won 12 times, you'd have lost just twice with 2 pushes, so you'd be well in profit. And Cremonese this season, they're not the most high-scoring team, obviously, but 2.3 goals per game their games are averaging. 16 of 24 this season have seen at least 2 goals, so you would have only lost money 8 times out of 24. But at home, it's 9 of 11 have seen at least 2 more goals. So again, you'd have only lost money twice. And yeah, you factor in this pretty big game. You've got 15th versus 16th, 5 points above the drop zone, which again might add to a bit of an end-to-end game. Both will see it's very winnable to pull themselves even further clear. It's just a no-brainer. You have to back it over 2.
Last 3 games, Genoa 3-2 against Bologna. They lost 3-2 to Lazio and 3-2 to Napoli. So yes, that's my favorite bet of the week. And we'll be going large on that. Anything else in Serie A? Nope, shaking your head. Only other one I want to mention, Como, Fiorentina. Como's been a brilliant side to back when they're at home. Fiorentina have been playing much better, and they've been bringing the goals. Como outright to win at -131. I think you can do better by backing Como on the team total of over 1.5 goals at -123. That's where I will go. Como regular. It's like a 2-0, 3-0 at home. They've been brilliant in their home matches. So Como team total at home over 1.5 goals at -123. Okay. Shall we move on to the Bundesliga and anything else that may catch your eye?
Yep, let's hit the German Bundesliga.
Bayern Munich over 3.5 at -114 seems rather low. Even their team total of over 2.5 goals at -112. Look, they've had some really poor results away from home in recent weeks, but a lot of them have finished with a total of 4 and over. So Bayern Munich not playing in the Champions League next week seems like a good time to back them. They play Werder Bremen, who concede lots of goals as well. So this seems to be, it's a very square play, but it's one that I think that it's one to be made. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I had a bet from the same game as well. I just thought the handicap line was a bit low for Bayern. How often do we see it at -1.5, whether it's home or away?
It's because of these away fixtures, but I think that this one is a little bit. I mean, it's easy for me to say when they've gone to inferior teams to Werder. There's not many because they're third from the bottom, but they've gone to poor sides and they just haven't performed. Now, the fixture list was stacked in recent weeks for Bayern Munich, and they had all kinds of injuries and illness in the side. Limer's back in the team. Looks like there's a little bit more stability. They're in a much better place now. So, yeah, I have no problem with backing Bayern Munich on the handicap either.
Yeah, I mean, Werder, they're winless in 11 in the Bundesliga. They've lost 7 of those. And I think what I found quite interesting was looking at the most recent home games. They've lost 2 of 4, but both defeats have come against top 6 teams, Hoffenheim and Stuttgart, and both were by 2 or more goals. So if they can go to Werder and cover this handicap, Bayern Munich certainly can. They've actually covered the -1.5 handicap in 15 of 21 games this season, which is a pretty big strike rate. 6 of 10 away from home. So, yeah, as you alluded to, not as many wide margin victories, but still 6 of 10 is a pretty healthy strike rate to win by 2 or more goals. And you factor in Werder's plight and their issues. I think this is, just, like you said, it's pretty obvious play. You get 3-1, 4-2, 5-2, any scoreline as long as Bayern Munich win by 2 clear goals. I might even make it a flat -2 handicap and just hope that they win 3 or more just to get a bit of extra juice out of the prize, because I think that this Bayern Munich team could really go into overdrive now they've had a free midweek.
I say this about Bayern Munich. It's almost table stakes. They score 3. So
yeah.
My favorite play will be the team total over the team total of 2.5 at -112. That's it. That's it for me for the rest of the week. I looked in France. I looked around Europe. This was all that. It's a lighter week for me on this podcast this week.
Yep, same for me.
Okay, let's go to the best bets board. What's making your board this week?
We're going to go 2 units on over 2 goals. Cremonese v Genoa, -107. Yeah,
wow, we're going to be watching that match this weekend, both you and I.
We're the only 2 people outside of the Cremonese and Genoa fans that are watching that game.
Yes.
I'm going to do a unit on Real Madrid to win and both teams to score at +176. A unit on Barca to win and both teams to score at +141. And I'm going to do a unit on Rayo Vallecano on the handicap at -102 against Atlético.
All right. 2 units. Genoa, Cremonese over 2 at -107. Let's go. 1 unit plays. 1 unit plays for the other 3 matches. Girona, Barcelona, both teams to score, and Barca win at +141. Those are 2 very similar plays, the exact same. Como over the team total of 1.5 at home against Fiorentina at -123, and Bayern Munich team total over 2.5 at -112 away to a very poor Werder Bremen side. We'll be back on Friday with the Champions League look ahead to the home and aways. Some really intriguing matchups, so make sure you tune into that. A reminder to subscribe, like this podcast, and we'll be back later on in the week. On behalf of Jake, I'm Wheels, and this has been episode 79 of Pinnacle FC.